Now come to your tables that was assigned to you in the afternoon. The tables have been designed or formed with a purpose, keeping in mind this exercise, what we are doing, all right? So this is the third tool and technique which I'm pleased to share with you in the Theory U process. We did a journaling exercise, we did an empathy walk, and now we're going to do a case clinic. And now this is something which is extremely powerful, extremely useful. I'm going to, on your table you'll find a handout, a one-page handout, okay? That is for you. It gives you an idea, but for the present, don't worry about reading that. You can read it when I send you out once again on the assignment, okay? But right now, just pay attention as I explain the case clinic process to you. So the objective of this conference of ours has been to set and to reaffirm, to renew, and to revitalize the church in Asia. That's the purpose why we have come over here. And as a leader, you have had an opportunity to affirm and to celebrate the past 50 years, and this is what you have really, together, you've co-initiated this process, you've co-sensed it. I've had an opportunity because of the live video streaming that's happening, because since I was in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, and then in Bombay, and I could also have this joy of experiencing it and seeing it, It was really, really wonderful, especially the talk show. His Eminence, Cardinal Oswald Gracious was there. It was really very wonderful, very touching. So you have co-sensed the current realities, my dear friend, and these current realities are also challenges that face our church in Asia. Now, your individual role as envisaging the future pathway is going to be very significant. Each one of you, and today we are looking at that particular dimension, okay, of your role as an individual. But as we said, the Theory U is not only about you as an individual, but it's the whole social environment in which you operate within. But you can't operate in that social environment unless you operate within yourself and experience this part of it. And what we're going to do now, today, and also continue tomorrow, is going to be actually walking us down through the entire U journey, all right? And it's a deeply researched process by Dr. Atasharma, used with great effectiveness. And I'm going to share the process out with you. It's really nice. A few points now as we begin. Can I have this? Wonderful. So this is, Theory U is a process to journey within and to focus on cultivating that interior condition that is so very important for us to be able to envisage the new pathway ahead. As I shared with you, you have people meeting at Davos every year. They are big leaders, they are big decision makers. They have the power, they have the money and everything. They make commitments, they sign, the Paris Agreement, all right, everything happens, but then ultimately what goes wrong. It's all got to do about the interior condition of those in those leadership role. And that interior condition of that has a huge impact, all right, when they go back and when they operate and when they do act. So this whole process, which we are really talking about, is about cultivating the soil in which we work, in the diocese in which we work. We're going to experience that over here right away, all right? A few principles for you to keep in mind, okay? You have all this in this document, okay? So don't worry, it's there for you. I'm just reading it out. I'm just explaining it. Now, we have put 4 of you on a table, and we have made sure that the 4 of you are peers, and they are not in hierarchy as far as possible. No? The idea behind this, and I want to share, is what you're going to engage in is a deeply personal leadership dimension perspective. It's going to be something where you are, as a leader, looking into, number one, what's the emerging realities where you have, and that's what you have sensed. But what is the emerging future that you can envisage as a leader, and which, in fact, is confronted by challenge, and we all have that. There's no one present over here who says, I don't have a challenge as a leader. So we are going to operate in what we call as the case clinic format, okay? So the case should be presented as a leadership challenge that is concrete and that is current. Now, when I say case is to be presented, not over here on the stage, right? This will be in your small little groups, all right? Only 4 of you in that group. And the first and most important thing is privacy, confidentiality, holding that space. It's a very sacred space that you're going to enter in, because people are now going to actually start the journey for change and transformation. So between the 4 of you, all 4 of you will have an opportunity to talk about a personal leadership challenge, okay? Between today and tomorrow, all. But today we'll start with one person, all right? And that you can decide and choose who, and somebody can volunteer to be the first case presenter, all right? And how do we go about this? Number 1, the case giver needs to be a key decision maker in the case. So whatever case you are presenting, whatever challenge you are facing as a leader, in your role as a cardinal, in your role as a bishop, all right? Make sure that it has to be contextualized, it has to be specific, and you are a key decision maker in that. That's very, very important. The responsibility for making decision lies with you. So think of that type of a situation, not something where someone else has to take ownership or whatever it may be. The participants in the case clinics, as I said, are peers, and there is no a hierarchy in the relationships over here in this. Is that the way your tables are formed? Thank you. Father Joe, where are you? Thanks a lot. He's done a good job. Now, when the case presenter is presenting his situation, the other 3 are what we call coaches. Now, I don't like the word coach, but anyway, for lack of another word, but typically when we think of a coach, we think of somebody who's advising, we think of somebody who's telling, somebody who's sort of, correcting. No. Please, please, please suspend that judgment of your understanding of what a coach does. In this case, in our case, in this process, okay, coaches don't give advice. Instead, they listen deeply. And it's a very interesting process of listening that we are going to be experiencing, okay? Listening with an open mind, which means as you're listening to the case, you're also going to be suspending judgment. Once again, you may be tempted to say, oh, really, Cardinal Alfonso, my God, what you are saying is I'm experiencing it to the T. Once again, no. And so thank you for sharing that temptation that comes in. Very, very important. So keep that in mind, all right? So you're going to be listening extremely deeply, suspending judgment, opening your heart. How do you open your heart? By listening empathetically. How do you listen empathetically? By actually putting yourself in the environment which has unfolded, the environment that has been unfolded in the situation that is being shared by the case giver, all right? And last but not the least is now, you're not making any decision in this situation. Keep that in mind, huh? You're just holding the space in a very, very, in a way that is very respectful and very holistic. So deep listening. So what are the steps? It's all written over here, and you'll be taking this along with you, but I'm only reading it and explaining it. First step, consider who will be the first person to give the case. So you can already start thinking. All of you will have to present the case, okay? If not today, then tomorrow it will happen. But all will get this chance. Today is like, the first trial. And as you go ahead, you will begin to get more expertise and more experience, and you'll love the process. Only 2 minutes to decide this, okay? Don't agonize about who will go first. So please volunteer if you don't mind, so that the time is saved. Now, the case giver, what does he do? The case giver, he shares a challenge that is current. Keep in mind, it's current, it's concrete, it's important, all right? And in which he is a case giver, is a key player. He or she is a key player or a key decision maker. Now, whilst you are describing the situation, all right, you got to describe it in such a way where you can also describe who are the stakeholders who are engaged in this situation, what is their influence on the situation, all right? And most importantly, your personal learning. What is it that you think you should let go of? What do you think you should let go of in this situation? Your perspective. And what you think you should allow to come in. Now imagine you're getting 15 minutes for this, okay? So don't complete this in 5 minutes. You got to go. No need to go into very detailed specifics, but sufficient specifics for those who are listening to have a holistic idea of your challenge that is being faced. Now, the very important thing is that the coaches who are listening, all right, the others basically, they don't try to fix the problem. Don't have in your mind that we have to solve the problem of Cardinal, or we have to solve the problem of Bishop so-and-so. We have to solve the problem. Our responsibility. You have no responsibility at all of that in this particular process, all right? The ownership for resolution remains with the case giver. But you have a very important role, and we'll see how that unfolds in the entire process. What you're going to do, instead of trying to fix the problem, you're going to listen in such a way that you are able to visualize, at least in some form, okay, what that person is going through. You can, internally experience the feelings and sense what you're feeling about that situation that is being described. Sense what you're feeling about the other case giver's feelings. I sense that you are feeling such and such, such and such. And that is something, okay? Now, the coaches, this is most important. Your ability to be able to connect to the story, to the whole aspect of what is being shared, and then in the next step, you will actually mirror to the case giver what you understand. Now, what do we mean by mirroring? I will share with you in a minute. But your major job is to listen carefully, understand the feelings, the emotions that it evokes in you. What images come to your mind of that particular situation, okay? Now, please appoint a timekeeper, all right? What is the job of the timekeeper? One of the coaches will manage the time. When you say manage the time, there are steps that you have in this sheet of paper of what the case, if you turn to page 2 over here, on the handout that you have, okay? If you see step 2, okay? What does case giver do? There's an intention statement of the giver. That means the intention statement is what the case giver wants ultimately, is what you want. So take a moment to reflect on your sense of calling and describe your case using the following guidelines. Now, these are 5 guidelines, okay? The timekeeper has a responsibility to see that, to make a check, to see that these guidelines are being followed, okay? The first is the current situation. What are the key challenges and questions that are coming up? So please, when you're talking, be focused on challenges that you are facing, the questions that are coming up for you, or the dilemmas that you are facing. Number two, who are the stakeholders? Who are the people in this situation, okay? What do you think their views are about this situation and this challenge that you are facing? So your perception of their views, share it with the team members. Share it with the coaches out over there, all right? The third one is critical and very, very important. The third one. What future are you trying to create? Articulate that for your people. And the fourth one, once again, out of this case, out of this situation, what is it that you really think you need to give up? Very important part. If this is missed out, then the timekeeper may like to inquire, or anyone may like to inquire and ask a question or two, all right? And so what do you think about, what is it that if you stop doing or you gave up would really help in this situation? What is it that you want new to happen, all right? Your perception, your this thing, all right? And the last one is the case giver. Where do you need inputs or help, okay, in terms of, you are just sharing this with your team members. So these are 4 very important steps, okay? Coaches may ask clarifying questions only, all right? No advice or anything. It requires your full attention, right? And the quality of your attention will determine the energy that is going to get into this process, into this whole understanding, and to the whole outcome of this clinic, what we call clinic. Once this has happened, okay, and once the person, the case giver has spoken and you all have listened, just make sure you have silence, okay? 2 minutes of stillness. Thinking and reflecting on what, internalize everything that has happened, okay? And when you're listening in silence, when you're listening in stillness, okay, finished all this, okay? Listen with an open mind. In those 2 minutes, what are the images that are coming to your mind about what has been shared by the case giver, all right? What are the metaphors? What came to your, what feelings and emotions did you sense about the case giver when he explained everything? What are you feeling in your body listening to what the person was saying? That's very, very important, because now, you'll be just allowing this in stillness to experience that, because a very important part of this process is the next step, which is called mirroring what you have actually experienced over there, okay? Okay, and what gestures might represent the essence of what you have heard? So let me give a small demonstration, all right, of this. So after this 2 minutes of stillness that has happened, and you have got that each of the coaches, all right, who have listened to the case giver will share from his heart, not making any judgment, but maybe possibly the situation that has been described. Maybe it's a situation that the person who's listening just gets a feeling that the case giver and says, Cardinal, or, Bishop, as you spoke, I just felt like you're in a maze and you're running and you're coming up a wall in this situation. And you're looking a little left alone. You get what I mean? No judgment, no nothing, just describing. Or it can just be a body, The sense I got about what you was explained is something like, I could see, you are feeling like this, somewhere low. But there is that, energy that's now coming up, And there is some sort of a hope in, as I see in what you have said. But genuinely, it all depends on what has been shared. Or you may just draw, and you say, from this situation I described that you shared in this situation, I can just feel that you are swimming, right? And suddenly you realize, boy, there are sharks in this place where I am sharing. Now, you don't got to explain why you're saying this and all that. Now, what is happening in this process, you're not saying anything, but quite often, in the next step, it triggers something in the case giver's mind. So, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that, but really, now that you shared it, that's my feeling, that's my emotion, that I'm really happy. Are you getting a sense of what I'm saying? Yeah? Immerse yourself. This will call for a lot of listening, a lot of empathy, a lot of, readiness to suspend judgment and just be with that person and then articulate that, all right, maybe by a sketch or a drawing or an expression. But this mirroring part is very, very, very important. So about 10 minutes for that. So the timings are also given for you, all right? So each course shares what came up for him during the silence, okay? And he was listening while he was listening to the case. After listening, the coach gives his response, okay, to whatever the coaches share. As I just did the sharing with you, that's what they do. Once this is done, okay, now there is good 20 minutes for a generative dialogue, all right? And what's a generative dialogue? It's not, again, giving advice. It's just talking about the situation, trying and seeing it from a different lens, raising questions that may awaken in the case giver new opportunities, untouched areas, unconsidered dimensions of the challenge or the problem. That's something that at some stage, all right, you're getting into this dialogue through that whole process, okay, where listening becomes extremely important, where listening becomes a very, very critical aspect of. So in generative dialogue, what's happening is the person who is the case giver now is in that holy presence at the bottom of the U, all right? At the bottom of the U, where now he is, in a way, opening himself to the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, who is actually guiding him now to actually let go of some of the things that he needs to let go in this situation, which are possibly blocks coming in the way. And some inspiration may emerge as a result of this in terms of what can be done or what new can happen in this challenging situation that occurs. You don't have to arrive at a solution. You don't have to solve a problem. All you're doing is reflecting together, all right, on what the case giver said and what the observers have shared in their description, all right? As I said, either by action or by an image or a drawing, but speak about the feelings and the emotion. Most important part is you got to get to be out of the box. You got to be creative. You got to be expansive, all right? Who? Those who are listening also. And in terms of those who we are calling coaches right now over here, all right? And what you are sharing. And the case giver is silently allowing all that to come inside him, and you just be surprised of what emerges out of this. And what emerges out as a sign of that may not emerge out today, it may just emerge out tomorrow. But one thing that can happen is that the person concerned, who is the case giver, feels a sense of newness in the situation, all right, as he can see it will unfold into the future, given whatever has happened along this journey. So go with the flow, build on each other's, stay in the service of the case giver. Don't be under any pressure to offer a solution. The solution will come through the inspiration when the person or the case giver reflects on everything and something magical happens at the bottom of the U, all right? Because you have A, ready to let go of all the fear that is holding you back. That's the important thing, okay? Open mind, open heart, and open will. What stops my will from actioning and doing something is fear. And what comes in then is courage, all right? To do what needs to be done and prototype, do a small experiment of that and decide, yes, I'll try this. I liked what came out from the other coaches in terms of what they shared. I have not done that before. I have not experienced doing something of that type. Possibly, just the idea came to me whilst the person was, expressing how he feels about my story, or the drawing that he put on the paper to share what he feels about my story. And suddenly an awakening happens in me that I must move in a particular direction. Does it make sense? Once you have done this, then you'll have closing remarks. The coaches will share a final reflections. Okay, the coaches, the three others, finally, what did they feel about this process? And the case giver will now see, okay, how do I now see my situation forward? Is there something that's coming in my mind about new pathways ahead? Share it if something is coming, all right? But be honest, let it come from your heart. Appreciate, that's most important. Acknowledge, all right? Genuinely appreciation for each other, of the case giver, as well as appreciation by the case giver to those who listened to him. I would like you to experience this process, but before we complete this, it'll take you 1 full hour to go through this process. You have the timings also given over here, all right? Write down what did you learn, okay, of this experience that we are going through right now. Is that okay? If you have any questions in your mind, let me know now. But everything is listed on page number 2. Focus on page 2. Page 1, don't worry. Okay? Page 2. Everything is written down there. So among yourselves, decide who will be the first case giver. Think of the case. See the criteria for the case. All right? It should be current. It should be important. It should be challenging. Describe who are the stakeholders in this state. They can be from your community, from the society in which you are living, or whatever it may be from the hierarchy. What is sacred is confidentiality among yourselves, okay? So don't share or talk about anything in the lunch break or in the tea break. Do you have that from everyone? Yeah? That's wonderful, okay? Oh, there are other programs. Okay. Appoint one person who will be the timekeeper to make sure this process is going through. Now, Bishop Alwyn is cutting my time. Every time he comes here, I get frightened now. He has got so many things on his plate to attend to. Poor Bishop Alwyn. All right. But don't worry. We'll promise Bishop Alwyn that we'll give all our best and we will manage within this time. But don't rush. It's a very, very important process. All right. So choose the case giver. Choose the timekeeper. Make sure all the points are covered. Make sure not too much of time is spent on the point 1 and 2. Lot of time has to be spent on 3, 4. 4 especially, point 4. What is it you think that you need to let go? What is the learning that you would like to get out of this experience, okay? And where you need help. Okay, I don't think you have any questions. If you have, let me know. I'm available over here I'll be walking around, and you have time, 45 minutes, Bishop Alvin has said, manage your time accordingly. Time is very limited. Quickly, 2 minutes, your time begins now. First 2 minutes to identify the roles. Who is the case giver? Who is the timekeeper? Very quick, in 2 minutes, settle that. Then begin the process. Keep this paper in front of you. Keep page 2 in front of you. Does everybody have 4 people on a table, or does anybody have less than 4 people on a table? So all those who have less than 4 people on a table, please move to a table, another table, please, if you don't mind, or where there are your peers, okay? So that there are 4 on each table, because we have to manage time. So those who are 3 on a table, please get somebody. Yeah, please come over here. Please move to a table. If you don't mind, please help the process. Go to a table where 4 are there. Otherwise, I'll have to come and request you all to move. Please, yeah. Let's get serious. Let's get serious. Okay. We don't want 5 on a table, please. Please start.